Hey everybody, it's Patrick here with another episode of Revtalks. Today we're joined by Adrian. How's it going, Adrian?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing absolutely amazing. So we see obviously that you co-founded My Social Practice and you're currently the CEO of the company. Would you mind giving us a little high-level overview of what you guys do and who you guys are?
Yeah, sure. We're a full dental digital marketing agency. We only work with dentists, so we're really deep in dentistry. Um, we do website design and SEO and paid ads and reputation management and oh, just anything digital. We basically do. We don't get into print mail, billboards, that kind of stuff, but anything digital is what we offer. We've been doing it for about 15 years, almost 16 years now.
Nice. And I know you mentioned previously before we started recording that you guys are in sort of a transition period from more of a traditional agency to kind of productized solutions and productized fulfillment. Would you mind kind of speaking about that a little bit and giving us some high level overview as to what that kind of means in terms of a transition period for the company?
Sure. Well, with the AI kind of like onslaught of software development that's happened over the last 2 or 3 years, in order to stay relevant long term, you better have your eye on it because systems and processes that would take us an hour now take us 2 minutes, leveraging AI. So we're not, uh, you know, we're basically rebuilding certain portions of our services, leveraging certain tools inside of AI, and they're pretty sophisticated. So they don't happen overnight. It's not like we just say, "Hey, start using ChatGPT to write all of our copy." Like that's not how it's done. It's a pretty sophisticated automation kind of project, but we're like tackling these things one at a time, updating our website development product, updating our copywriting, updating our reporting and so forth. And just kind of like taking it by, that analogy of eating an elephant. You just kind of take it one bite at a time kind of thing. As we're trying to get closer and closer to a company that is highly streamlined, it's more profitable, and relevant.
100%. And what actually was one of the main deciding factors, if any, early on, initially when you guys started working with dentists? And I know this is a pretty popular niche in the agency space, and obviously you guys are, top of the line when it comes down to experience and longevity with these dentists. So, what initially kind of attracted you to this space?
I kind of fell into it, honestly. I had a company prior to my social practice that got cleaned out in the credit crash back in '08. And I had a friend that I had known for years who worked at a dental marketing company, and that company went out of business at the same time. And as my company kind of like ended and I lost that company, I went bankrupt. I had this really cool product, which was basically helping businesses to get on the front page of Google in the Google Maps section, because Google Maps had just recently launched within the last 2 or 3 years. And at that time, it was really, really easy. There's a few things that you could do, and you could get a business to show right up on the front page of the Google Map, and they just get phone calls. They just get tons of phone calls. And so I called my buddy and I said, I got this great product and I don't know what to do with it, but I'm not going to go back and work for somebody. I need to start another company. He's like, well, I just, dental marketing company I just worked for went out of business, and I've got 3,500 dentists contact information for practices that have bought product from us in the past. And the company owner is in hiding. He doesn't even want to talk to anybody. And so I'll ask him if we can use it. And he said we could use it. And so we started digging into that database and offering this new service. And we just kind of were in the dental space. And so once we were there, we found it very difficult to get outside of dentistry, even when we tried, because we did try. We tried to go into the optometry industry for a while, the chiro industry, derm, other healthcare industries. And what we found is that even though those are all healthcare oriented verticals, right? When you start building out marketing campaigns for a particular business, even if they're closely related, dentistry and say optometry, the marketing content is super, super specific. And so as we tried to go outside of dentistry and we did this a couple times, we realized that the gains were not worth it. It wasn't worth going outside of dentistry and then basically rebuilding our company for another vertical and hiring more people, because you couldn't basically just um, you know, killed
Yeah.
two birds with one stone, so to speak. And so we kind of like got our ass handed to us a couple times. We thought we're not going to go outside of dentistry. So we stayed in dentistry and went really, really deep. And it's been a wonderful industry to be in.
Nice. I like it. And where exactly is the company based out of?
We originally started in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I live near Salt Lake, but during COVID, we got rid of our office and went remote. So now we've got employees all over the place. I've got people outside of the country working for us that moved there after the fact. So we're kind of all over the place now.
Sweet. So a little bit of expansion in Salt Lake City, Utah area. Super cool.
Mhm.
And as of right now, you guys have a lot of customers, a lot of testimonials, obviously on the website. The audience can scroll through and things like that and see all the reviews. Um, but as of right now, have you sort of reached capacity of helping out a lot of dentists? I'm sure in your area, you guys have already capped off on the majority of the local dentists. Do you guys mainly expand into other states? Or are you guys currently doing that? Or what's kind of the main goal here at the end of the day, especially when it comes down to, I know you mentioned productizing more of the fulfillment and making things kind of
Yeah.
streamlined, almost like a SaaS.
Yeah. So we serve dental practice throughout North America, so the USA and Canada. We do have a handful of clients in other English-speaking countries outside of the United States, but we primarily, almost everybody is in North America, and we're not at capacity. Well, I shouldn't say that. In some of the departments, we are at capacity where we're needing to hire new people in order to continue to grow, which is one of the reasons why we're implementing AI in a lot of these fulfillment processes because, for example, I have two really, really great copywriters and we write hundreds and hundreds of pages of copy every month and they are at max capacity, but we've built and we just finished building a copywriting optimization product and it's an automation product. And now we've got one copywriter that can do probably three times as much copywriting. And so we've got a whole new employee that we can move somewhere else in the company. And we've also got, we're not maxed out in that department anymore. So AI definitely helps to increase capacity and really, really lengthen your marketing dollars,
100%.
your operational
And
dollars.
how much has the SEO business and industry changed over these past couple of years or even 5 to 10 years? Obviously it was way different before ChatGPT, but it was also a lot different before 2019, 2018 as well. How have kind of the times shaped the business and how have you guys adapted other than AI, of course, and using different LLM models and actually strategically building these out?
Well, SEO is always a chase. You're always looking at what Google's recommending, and you're looking at the algorithm changes to inform how you want to deliver your product. I shouldn't say lean towards, we've always stayed away from black hat techniques. We're trying to like game the system because we've seen over the years how stuff just gets picked up. Like we never used link farming, or any of that kind of stuff. We really kind of like stuck to activities that we knew would have longevity and that wouldn't be, thought of as black hat in any way. So, but with that, you still have to make changes and whatnot to the way that the SEO service is delivered. And every algorithm change, which happens all the time, you're always looking at that and you're saying, okay, well, how do we retrofit or change and shift the way that we deliver our service in order to help our clients be found more often online? We're right in the middle of a massive, massive like change, which is with AI search. It's completely changing. It's going to be a totally different experience online here within the next year or two, which has to do with Google moving to Google full AI mode, which is basically when you go to Google, there's not going to be 10 blue links down below. It's going to be the AI recommendation. And if you're not in the recommendations, you're going to be virtually invisible online. Understanding those algorithm changes for AI search or AI SEO versus traditional SEO. And some of it's the same. There's some of the things that they're all kind of the same things you would do, but it's fundamentally a different service. And so we've been rapidly developing and changing our SEO product to meet the demand or meet the qualifications to help kind of like match with what we see is happening. And we're also doing it for our own marketing. Like my own marketing, I run the marketing department for my social practice, and our own marketing efforts have shifted significantly in order to attract dentists based on AI search. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to get in and talk about those things, but it is fundamentally different.
Definitely. And as of right now, I know obviously everything has changed very recently and the tides are looking a little bit different too. What have you guys historically done to kind of acquire customers? And what does that kind of look like other than word of mouth referrals and networking and things like that? And then we can kind of talk about how the AI has really sort of cemented itself in the SEO space and now where that's going with everything like that.
So in dentistry, generally, I mean, this isn't exact, but there's kind of like three main ways we generate leads. And this is generating leads for my social practice, not necessarily for our client, the dentist. One is SEO, right? Ranking inside of search or AI search. Okay. Two is all of our email marketing and content creation, email marketing. And I would include social media in that. So our social media and email marketing. And then three is, if we're going to leave referrals out of it, because referrals are a big part, but they kind of come in from lots of different areas. Three would be speaking. So I actually travel at least two, maybe sometimes three times a month. Then I speak at an event. I train and educate on digital marketing for dentists. And we get a lot of attention, a lot of leads that way as well. So those are the three main ways we do it.
Nice. I like that. And as of right now, I know you mentioned obviously speaking. Is that obviously here in North America in different states and cities, or is it more kind of outside and things like that?
Mostly in the States, although I do have my first invitation. I'm going to be speaking in London at a medical and dental AI conference in June. That's the first time I've been invited to go
Nice.
outside of North America. But everything else I've ever done for the last several years has been inside the North America. I go to Canada sometimes, mostly in the States though.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that. That's huge as well. And I have another question too about your sort of drive to move from more of a service based agency as a traditional manner we talked about before to productizing the fulfillment and productizing the system as a whole and the actual
Mhm.
agency. What were some of the leading factors or things that happened in the agency that led you to want to drive it more towards more systemizing and things like that, other than AI rising up and AI getting smarter and us able to utilize AI within our businesses? What was kind of like an initiative that you were like, this needs to be productized or systematized?
All right. So one of the toughest things in marketing is to accurately and transparently deliver ROI and results. Okay. And in the dental industry, there is a unique kind of situation. All dental practices have what's called a practice management system. This is where they keep track of their patients. They have their schedule in there. This is where they book appointments and they have all the patient records and et cetera. There's 100 different practice management systems in dentistry. Okay. There's about 15 that kind of carry most of the market, but there's a lot of them. And in order to deliver an actual valid ROI number, you have to track from your advertising effort, whatever that might be, paid advertising, SEO, blah, 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 blah. You have to track from there all the way through to the patient scheduling and then coming in, showing up for their appointment, and then actually accepting treatment and paying for it. The only way you can get the data after they've scheduled the appointment, so actually, if they showed up for their appointment, if they accepted treatment, if they've made payment, is to integrate directly into the practice management systems. You have to have an API integration. You have to be able to read that data. This is patient health records, okay, which is heavily regulated by HIPAA. And so you have to be careful in this industry, and I would say in any other healthcare industry, that if you want that information, you have to be able to have some development capabilities to read it, first of all, and then make sure it's HIPAA compliant. So when we decided years ago that we needed to get that data to justify the cost of our services so that when we get on a call with our doctor and they say, hey, we spent $1,500 with you guys. Where are the patients, or how much money did I make? Other than us just saying, well, we got 500 new people to your website and we got 150 clicks on your ad, and all of it kind of like secondary information. It illustrates a story, but it doesn't actually show if the $1,500 that the doctor spent translated into $15,000 in revenue. You have to get that number. So when we decided to start building that integration, which we've built and we use now, we all of a sudden got sucked in to kind of a SaaS kind of model, software as a service. We had to develop the reporting mechanisms and the communication capabilities between our software and the PMS systems to deliver to be able to deliver a correct ROI. And when that started, we ended up riffing on it over and more and more and more until we actually developed quite a sophisticated CRM or reporting dashboard. And it's huge. It's like you can go into this software and you can basically see everything about the practice, who's doing what, how much money this doctor is generating versus that doctor, how productive is the hygienist, Susie versus Tiffany or Johnny or whatever. It literally shows us everything. And that informs us on improving our marketing efforts. I'll give you an example. So if we are hired and the doctor says, hey, I want 50 new patients a month. Okay. That's what the doctor wants. Okay. We're going to retroactively build this campaign, and we start sending phone calls to the office to schedule appointments, or we have an online scheduler or whatever it might be. But let's just talk about the front desk. So phone calls are coming in. Okay. Front desk is picking it up and they are having a bad day, and they just drop the ball on half of those leads. So
It's like
so
not
we
really,
have to,
really, or not. It's not necessarily your fault at that point if you've generated a qualified lead in the front desk, sort of almost
yeah, I
humble.
can say that. But the dentist isn't going to say that. The dentist is going to say it's your fault, right? It's
Exactly.
not my front desk, it's you. So, we have call tracking. We listen to the calls. We go back through the calls. We say, look, your front desk shouldn't have answered that question like this. You get into some sales training and so forth.
Yeah.
So the reporting capabilities that we have now give us transparency into what's happening inside of the office, so that we can identify, well, is it our fault? Are we not driving enough phone calls or scheduled appointments? Or are we getting the wrong types of patients? Right? Or is it the front desk? Or is it the treatment coordinator who's supposed to help close the case, get the patient to accept treatment? We get access into all of that, and we can see the data, and now it tells us, oh, okay, yeah, it's the treatment coordinator.
Right.
She's not prepping the patient correctly to accept treatment, or it is the marketing or whatever. That
100%.
that that SaaS kind of product is something that we've built that we leverage to support our own service, but we also offer it to dental practices to do their own analysis too.
Nice. I like that. And I've been seeing a decent amount of agencies in the marketing space, even us to transition to where it's less of an end-to-end solution rather than like, okay, we'll obviously make campaigns, outreach, book appointments and close, to more, section it out on the front end towards like, okay, here's what we're going to actually give you in terms of setting the infrastructure up and delivering the calls. But it's very clear, like your responsibility starts as soon as ours stop when we get that actual lead to the receptionist or something like that. So it's definitely ways to like chunk it up in different
Yeah.
areas. For sure. So, other than that, I know we're kind of going on 20 minutes here. That was kind of my initial questions for you and everything like that. Do you have any final value pieces or anything else you'd like to add from being in the agency space for a decent long time now?
Who's your typical audience?
Agency owners, digital marketers, pretty much B2B businesses, I'd probably say, software development, things like that.
So I would say, anybody who probably listen to your podcast is probably looking for information. They've got their ear to the
Yep.
floor, looking for what's going on. So they may know this, but I would say that any agency right now that isn't understanding and learning about what's about to happen on the internet with Google search and AI search, and isn't preparing to adjust their delivery of their marketing and their services is going to become irrelevant. There's just there's just too much capability in the software space right now that you can't ignore opportunities to streamline processes, and the way in which businesses are going to be found is fundamentally changing. And so I know I'm in the dental industry, but a lot of the concepts are going to be the same across the board. If you go to our website, mysocialpractice.com, and go to our blog, I've probably got 150 articles on there all about what's happening and what's about to happen in terms of AI search.
Nice. I like that.
When Google makes the switch to full AI mode, which is probably going to happen in 2026, if you're not prepared to deliver an SEO service or you have a great ad product that understands what's about to happen, you're going to be shit out of luck. So I think it's a really important time for agencies that are looking for an opportunity to take advantage of a shift in the market. You just got to wrap your head around what's going on. So
I definitely agree. Things look a lot different even in the next year in terms of search and AI and things like that.
for sure.
And I know you mentioned before, what's the company website? Where can we find you guys? And where can we find you on the internet as well, Adrian?
So the website is mysocialpractice.com. Um, the speaking page, it's a dental marketing expert is the URL extension. Now I have information on there about me and my speaking opportunities. And, if you're in the healthcare industry, specifically in dentistry, I have probably 7 different 2 to 3 hour long presentations, all about different digital marketing tactics and strategies. I actually have quite a few of my presentations recorded, and they're on the site, and you're welcome to go watch those. And I think a lot of it will apply to your industry, even if you're not in dentistry. I also have my own podcast called Bite Size Podcast, BYTE sized podcast. And I post those podcasts on my blog as well as on our YouTube and all the podcast channels. And on that podcast, I brought on quite a few people outside of the dental industry, but that have something really important and unique to say about what's happening in the AI space and that will apply to your audience. So I would maybe subscribe to that or watch some of the podcasts I've published.
Sweet. Appreciate it, Adrian. Thank you for taking some time out of your afternoon to jump on Rev Talks. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.